Hello there everybody, this is Grant, my son is the Collector75 and welcome to part 26 of my Marvel UK Transformers Generation 1 comics review. Now, if you've been a long time follower of my channel, you may remember I started these way back when, probably almost 10 years ago now. It's probably a good 8 or 9 to be honest. And then I was thinking about it because I was just watching the last part because I haven't done one of these videos for quite some time. That I've actually been doing these videos longer than the original Marvel UK series actually ran for, which is quite something because I never ever thought, I thought I'd get these done in a couple of months back when I started these back in about 2008, 2009. So yeah, we're still going, and I'm starting them up again because I could explain why I had to stop. Actually I will, it's quite silly really. When I moved into my new house, I had to figure out how to do certain videos because I don't have a great setup of equipment and everything. And then we bought a glass table, which was actually perfect for doing this because I could put some lights on top of the table because it was all glass and put my camera on top and everything and just have the comics below it, and it worked absolutely perfectly. Then one day my son, having a tantrum that he usually used to do back then, decided that he would headbutt the table and cut his head open and there was blood everywhere. It was like a scene out of Carrie. And me and my wife had the decision to get rid of the table. So then I didn't have the table, and trying to figure out another setup was really hard, especially because I'm always pushed for space and time. And so I just never got around to it. And then where I put all my comics up in the loft here, and it just got buried as well. So that was another reason. And it just sort of continued from there really until this week, because I'm off ill. I've done loads of videos. I'm off ill, and I pushed myself to really just figure out a way, and I figured out a way. So there we go. Sometimes that's just what it takes, doesn't it? Anyway, right, so that's enough from me. We're going to start here. Now, I realised from the last time that I did a part of this, which was probably the last time I uploaded it, was about a year or two ago, and then actually when I recorded it, it was like over 3 years ago. So it's been a good 3 years since I've done one of these, for me anyway. Because today's date is it the 22nd or 20th? Yeah, it's about the 22nd of February. I can't remember. It's a Thursday. There we go. Anyway, right, so I did realise that I'd forgot to do the 1989 annual, because obviously it's still 1988, but actually, is it the 1989? I don't know. I forget how they bloody do it. Let's have a look inside it. Anyway, we've got a nice cover here because some of the stories do reference what's going to happen in the next issues, which I just realised. I was going to do this at the end of these comics, but then I realised that. So we're going to have to do it now. Right, so we're going to start here. Nice picture of Megatron there. I love the artwork on the front there. It's always a good one. Of Megatron against Optimus Prime. This Power Master form there. So we're going to carry on. Now we've got the table of contents. Oh, pardon me. We have got the quest, which is kind of like a story so far kind of thing. Then we've got a text story, Trigger Happy, part 1 and part 2. Then we've got another story, Dreadwing Down, and we've got another story called The Chain Gang. Both these stories are a bit lackluster, if you want my opinion. We've got the quest, where I think it's some child or about like an adolescent on some planet. He's got to do some homework, and oh my god, what was it? He decides, because his dad works at a temporal somewhere that they have time travel technology on their planet, and he is far in the future. His homework is to write an essay on a long ago war or something like that, and then he remembers about on a far distant planet of the Transformers war, and he borrows his dad's time travel equipment, which he really shouldn't have, and he goes into the past and he witnesses all the events so far, basically. Now he does have a cloaking device, means that they can't see him, as you do. But as we go on, he witnesses all these events and everything. And then he witnesses time wars and everything like that. And then he realises about how people from the future really should not go back into the past because of the dodgy time ripples that they'll cause. And he does something, I can't remember, and he thinks someone notices him or something like that, but he bleeps out quickly back into the future. And then he realises that maybe the teacher looks at him a little bit differently than the way she did before he travelled back into the past, and he realises that maybe somehow, in the most inadvertently and strange way, he's changed the future. And he thinks, oh my god, is this the world that I knew? And it was kind of a nice twist on the ending there, a bit like the old Tales of the Unexpected or whatever. But anyway, there we go. There we go, look. Deceit shivered, suddenly feeling very alone in a world he had once felt so comfortable in. And that was kind of cool. And then we got, what is this first story? This is the weird story which I could never really understand, called Destiny of the Dinobots. Now, I have no idea exactly where this story is supposed to fit into continuity, because this is before the Action Masters, because obviously we've still got Grimlock in here being able to transform, but something happens to Snarl, and they have to transfer his mind, because this is obviously before they decided that sparks existed and everything, and he left him in a real Stegosaurus, or Stegosaurus. It's a bit of a strange story, this one. Yeah, I'm not actually, but if you read in the definitive G1 history, and if you read the background material, it does say about why there's some strange stuff going on with out of continuity stories. It's because when Simon Furman took over the US strip, he didn't know at the time that the UK strip would then be cut back to 5 pages. And so he done all these stories and everything that would hopefully link up, and that's what he wanted. All these UK one-off stories to link up to the American stories and flesh them out a little bit more, because he knew he wasn't going to be able to do massive stories like he used to be able to do in the UK comic. But then because it got cut back to 5 pages and everything else, and the amount of reprints that suddenly they had to put in it, these stories, or the American stories, got pushed back. And so all these UK stories ran out of continuity. And so it made absolutely no sense, which shows in a couple of stories. Not too many. He managed to get some roughly in where they should be, but some of the ones just made no sense. So it's always a bit strange. And then when you look at what happens further on down the line in the US continuity, they're obliterated from existence altogether. It's a bit strange. So anyway, we had that. I don't want to spend too long on this. We've done 7 minutes. We got a nice little quiz here, which annuals usually do back then. I think my annual's falling apart. Look, the pages are coming out. I've got to be careful now. So here we have Trigger Happy. Now, I don't really remember exactly what this story is about. I know it's wrote by Ian Rimmer, and we've got Stephen Baskerville. But it does coincide because with a story coming up, because it still has Megatron believing that in the future he's going to be Galvatron, which shows he's still the Megatron from the UK continuity, not the US continuity coming up. So anyway, then we got this one, which is Chain Gang. Is it Chain Gang? Oh no, this is Dreadwing Down, where Dreadwing's carrying something, and he gets shot down, he goes to the ocean, and the Autobots have got to try and go somewhere. Oh, well, that's it, some kid's dying or something, and they need the technology that he's got. I don't know, it's a bit of a dull story, to be honest. And they rescue it so they can save this child's life. It's, yeah. We've got the answers to the quiz. We've got some nice posters and stuff. We've got Trigger Happy Part 2. There we go. I can't remember the bit. But yeah, but it does have the Megatron saying, yes, but he knows that he is going to be Galvatron in the future. So he knows that's what's going to happen to his future. So there we go. So that is set before that. And then we got, oh my God, this is Chain Gang. I can't remember what happens in that storyline because it's just dull, to be honest. Features the Pretenders mainly, which I suppose won't get a lot of love back then, so they thought they'd feature them, I suppose. And then we've got some more A to Zs of the Micromasters, which are making a big appearance at the time, and then another full-page cover spread. This annual cost £4, I believe. Look at that, £4 back in the day. Right, so there's the annual done. Now we're going to move on to the issues. Number 241, cover dated 28th of October 1989 at 40p. God, I wish we could still get comics for 40p these days. Let's have a look. This features the return of Thunderwing, because obviously in the previous parts he did get blown up by, is it Nightbeat and Co? So we've still got the American storyline, Back from the Dead Part 2, in nice 5-page episodes. It's a bit of a dull storyline, this one. To be honest, not my favourite Simon Furman storyline. I think he was trying to be too much. I think he was trying to blend it into the American. He weren't trying to go straight to his own style. Trying to give it a bit of a transitional thing, I think, which is why it never really sticks in my head as being a great story. It just features the Micromasters travelling to Earth, basically to try and capture Ratchet, because Megatron on Cybertron wants him. I can't remember if that's been revealed yet, but if you're not, and it's a spoiler alert, sorry about that. But there we go. So he's on Cybertron, feeling sorry for himself because he can't reactivate all his Autobots. The Decepticon, is it the Race Car Patrol? Or is it the bloody, I don't know, Off-Road, who knows, Detour and Blackjack and whatever. But there we go. So eventually they will capture him in the next part, probably. A nice advert here for the autumn special, the collected comics coming up. And here we have Thunderwing with Rage. Some lovely artwork there by Andrew Wildman. Never a big fan of his work, but he did do some good stuff sometimes. So we have Thunderwing coming back, and he decides to get his own back, I believe, on some Autobots. And there we go. Prepare for an assault on the Ark. And now this to me was a great story, because it just goes back to what you think, Decepticons should be doing. Then we got the Mighty Marvel checklist. We got Punisher number 13, Sleaze Brothers number 5. I did like Sleaze Brothers. Thundercats. I didn't think Thundercats were still going, but there we go. Transformers, the real Ghostbusters. We got Combat Colin. Oh, I did like Combat Colin. We've got an advert there for Action Force. We got Rat in the Trap. Oh, that's a little bit of a pun there for Beast Wars. And we've got Dread Tidings. We've got Stock Exchange. Sandstorm with all accessories. Swap Headmaster Fangry. Laserbeak, Wheelie, Mirage and Warpath. Swap Scoop and Quick Mix. Not sure about that one. Optimus Prime. On all accessories. Swap Ultra Magnus and Red Alert. Depends what Optimus Prime they want. Anyway, right, so that's part 241. Let's move on to the next one quickly. And that's Raid on the Ark. Classic stories. So here we have Thunderwing on the transformation page. I did always prefer this transformation page rather than the ones they did try before. We've got calendar mix-up. What's this one about? Blah, 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 blah. Oh no, it's just they forgot to put the calendar in. That's always handy. And so we've got more stuff going on about them. And now they're using some reactivated Autobot bits to try and frighten Ratchet. And eventually they get him to Cybertron. And he eventually appears there. And then they say, oh no, we're really Decepticons, not Autobots. Oh no, it can't be you. You're dead. You're dead, says Ratchet. Hang on. It's Megatron. And of course, he goes, sadly for you, Ratchet, today's the dead walk. And Megatron lives again. Which was always a bit of a strange one in the UK because he's been back since he went away, really. And most of the Autobots bloody know it. There we go. So it was a bit of a strange one, that one. So there we go, but obviously this is straight from the Americans, so on the American comic didn't get that, but there we go. But a story is coming up to explain it all away. But here we have Thunderwing's Assault on the Ark, where the Triggercons know it's a bit suicidal, but they're just following him anyway, because Thunderwing's dead hard. And here we go. So I think Prime takes him down, blah, 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 blah. And he says, no, it's me once, or something like that, I don't know. He goes, also a fatal one. Look, and he's about to shoot him in the head, but you all got to shoot him. And then they return. Then he goes back to face the Decepticon High Command. And they give him, they said, look, well, High Councillors, what is your decision? I'll abide by it. Indeed, other action that backs our decisions. Her name be Decepticon Leader. What? You passed with the flying colours. You exhibited single-mindedness, ruthlessness, and fighting prowess, the perfect qualities for leadership. So now he is Decepticon Leader as far as the Decepticon High Command on Cybertron care. Now we have Combat Colin leading into, obviously, Matrix Quest and everything like that. Let's have a look. We've got more Combat Colin. Combat Colin was great. I didn't like him at first, but I do like him now. Then we've got more Action Force. I'll keep you seeing the page. There we go. And then we've got Dreadwind. Another Stock Exchange. Have a look. Power Master Optimus Prime with all weapons. Swap Superion. Ooh, don't know about that. Here we go for issue 243. Now then, this is a classic. This is the controversial storyline. Now then, I did get this one signed by Simon Furman. I can't remember who'd done the front cover. Let's see who it was. It was Andy Wildman. See, I should have got that signed by Andy Wildman, but he doesn't really go to the conventions anymore. It's a bit strange. So now we have Back from the Dead with Megatron making his US reappearance ever since he blew himself up on the space bridge. And now he's going to explain what happened to him. That is a bit like, I think in the Marvel Comics with Spider-Man, when there was a massive gap and they said, oh yeah, the real Spider-Man was running around with amnesia between issue 115 and 242 or something like that, and this other bloke was a clone. Bit weird, but it was kind of like that. He damaged himself on the space bridge and ended up in the dead end with no memory or something like that until he gets his memory back, basically. Let's have a look. And then we got the Optimus Prime figures that he's being used by these bunch just to stall him while they kidnap Ratchet and everyone. So now we're going to come to the calendar that was missing. And now we have Mind Games. Now this was a controversial storyline, because this is going to explain away just how this all happened. And obviously this is, you know, as it was meant to be, obviously. But we have Straxus. He was a great character in the UK stuff. Let's have a look. We've got some what happened before. Love it. And then we've got Megatron on Cybertron, having recently taken command. But he's still having problems with headaches and visions of Straxus. Will he never be rid of him? But now there's an intrusion, and he says, "I'll welcome the intrusion." And he goes to face with it, deal with it. And then Ravage attacks the intruder. He's about to kill him, and he says, "A danger that must be removed permanently. I must be strong. I must strike. No, I can't. Not to Megatron." Ah! And he can't believe that there's now 2 Megatrons. And it was a classic story, if just for the fact that trying to fit it in continuity was a headache. We've got, instead of Comic Con, we've got the Giggle Sisters, or the Giggly Sisters. And we've got Action Force. We've got an advert for the real Ghostbusters. Look at that. That's classic stuff, isn't it? Not quite sure I've got... Where am I getting that? There's a shadow right across the comic now. I don't know why that is. Anyway, well, there we go. Right, so we'll put that one over there. And then we're going to move on, because we're at 16 minutes. I'm going to try and get through more of these. We've got another 5 comics to get through yet. Oh, no. And the winner is Megatron. Now, I did get this one signed by Jeff Senior and Simon Furman. Because I love that artwork. And to be honest, I'm glad that Jeff Senior did draw the inside cover art for this. We've got more of the American storyline. It gets getting a bit dull, to be honest. Then Scorponok turns up with all the other Decepticons, and not much happens, if I'm honest. Now, what is it? Megatron reveals to Ratchet his plan that he wants to put a certain Transformer in this suit of armour. Thus reactivate them, but Ratchet has his own ideas about reactivating some other Autobots in some discarded versions or previous prototypes for this one. So, and then this is where he explains what happened to him. Blows up Space Ridge, ends up in the dead end, where he finds Blackjack, and then he sees that Blackjack is about to be assaulted by this Autobot, and he gets all his memories back. Blah, 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 blah. So that's what happened to him. But now we have 2 Megatrons. Yeah, so I'm trying to work out where that shadow's coming from. I can't work it out, because I've got a light right here, so it's a bit weird. Let me try adjusting it. Will that not do anything? A little bit. No, that's not too bad. Right, anyway. So 2 Megatrons, some great artwork by Jeff Senior there, and now he thought he'd gone mad before when he met Galvatron, a future version of Megatron, but now he knows he must have gone mad, because now there literally are 2 Megatrons. And then we come to the explanation of where the Megatron came from that was in the UK continuity ever since he turned up in the sewers of London back in issue 125, and has been running around right until now, right through all of everything, through Space Pirates, some of the other storylines, Enemy Action, right up to Time Wars and the fall and rise of the Decepticon Empire. This is where he came from. I think, where is it? Here we go. Blah, blah, blah. Hear my true story of where I came from, says the real Megatron. Blah, 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 blah. And now this is what I discovered about you. Goes, while he was going through the dead end with Blackjack, he found an old base used by Straxus, and where he found a Project Rebirth, where for some reason Straxus, if his mind control attempt failed on Megatron, he would transfer his body to another Megatron. Why wouldn't he just transfer his spark to a Straxus body? That's what didn't make sense to me. Why didn't he do that in the first place? So there we go. A bit concocted, but it's one of these storylines that it's a necessity. It's born out of necessity rather than what you really want to happen. So it's a bit strange. And he's got all the same damage on his body, but it shows that maybe it just weren't ready yet exactly. But it's got like the damage of which inflicted on by the Predacons before he got himself blown up. So there we go. And then there's a sudden realization from the false Megatron that what he's saying is true. And then Ravage has heard enough and he attacks the real Megatron. So and I goes, I understand madness when I say it. You must think me insane to think I'd fall for a story like that. You don't honestly think that I'd believe the Megatron I fought beside in Time Wars is Straxus. And there we go. You can see him now wrestling with Straxus in his head. He goes, but I will. You've been weakening steadily now for some time, and I've been biding my time getting stronger. You're mine. Now Straxus is making another attempt on the false Megatron's mind to take control. But he doesn't, and Megatron this time does the right thing and just kills himself, thus ending the Straxus Megatron storyline, which was a shame because I did like that, and it was always a nice recurring thing, especially when you think of how long that storyline had been going for. So there we go, and now the real Megatron is back on Cybertron, exactly where it should be for the story of the US continuity, which, you know, it works in a kind of way. Oh, I like this one. Combat Colin, Prisoners of the Place of No Return. I did like this. I never realised at the time because I never watched The Prisoner. I knew of it, never watched it. So then suddenly he's in this place, which looks remarkably like the village, and he's trapped there without his trousers. And it's good because then I think in subsequent parts, they drop loads of hints in of all the titles of the Prisoner episodes, which is quite funny. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so we've got Action Force here. As I said before, never really got into Action Force, but we got some nice next week, and the Transformers out now. Reserve your copy. None of this online stuff, because obviously the internet didn't exist back then. Oh, happier days. There we go. Anyway, right, so we're on to issue number 245, 25th of November 1989. We have got, who's that? Tailgate. Look at that. He's got a nice Power of the Primes version out at the moment. I'm quite looking at it. I want to pick that up as soon as I see it a bit cheap. And now this features creatures that are going to appear in US issue 76. So you could see that it was now, like he said, he was trying to flesh it out, but some of these stories ran long before you would catch up to another storyline represented in the US. But this is supposed to be before that one, so this one ain't too bad. So there we go. We've got the continuing storyline of Megatron there. We've got Combat Colin, the Prisoner. I love it. It's really good. I did like that storyline there. There we go. So we've got more of this storyline with Optimus Prime being just delayed on Earth, forced into a confrontation with Scorponok and everybody. I can't remember what happens there, because usually when I've reread this storyline, I bypass this bit because I found it a bit dull. But there we go. But now we're going to... Look, there he is. There's Megatron with the remains of Starscream. Now, the US readers would have just seen Starscream for the first time here, but we did know that he already had Starscream from the storyline Race with the Devil. Back, I think it's issue 220-ish, somewhere around there. So we already knew that that's what I liked about when Simon Film did take over. It was like what he said he was going to try and do. Give the UK some little storylines. Sorry about this, everybody. I do have bronchitis still. I was hoping it was gone by now. Anyway, so there we go. So we already knew, but the American readers didn't know. Now then, we go to Underworld, and where we have some mini Autobots or something that are trying to do something in the depths of Cybertron, and they come across some monsters while being pursued by some interesting Decepticons. I do like him. I have no idea why the Action Force bit here is in the middle of this. I have no idea, but here he is. I think his name's Jack Hammer. I like the name that, and the fact that he's got something on his head and he's just using his head as a battering ram. Kind of like, who's that guy out of Masters of the Universe? That was pretty cool. So we got him, then we got these monsters lurking in the background, and we got an advert for Rice Krispies. Oh, my son likes Rice Krispies, and Cocoa Pops. And then we got more Dread Tidings, and here we go, Combat Colin, Prisoner of the Place of No Return. I love it. Sorry, I was just reading it. Yeah, I think, the Prisoner, the Mega Brain is number one now. I love it. And I think it's this where he does it. He goes, all the other villains are trying to keep him prisoner, and he says, "Oh, haven't you just realised that you were just as much a prisoner as I?" Which I think is number 6. His words, number 2 in the actual TV series. I think that was who was that? I can't remember. Leo McKern. I'm sure he said that too when he was number 2. Anyway, there we go. So I digress. I'm a bit of a Prisoner fan. I do like the Prisoner. Anyway, right. It says next week more Action Force there. Oh, I've got 4 or 5 issues to get through yet. 25 minutes. It's going to be longer. We've got 2nd of December 1989. I Spy with My Little Eye. I love that. So we've got now then all the familiar faces. Now Starscream is being prepped to be put inside his new Pretender shell, making him the classic Pretender. And the debut of them, I suppose. And then we've got the Demons trilogy. Let's blah 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 blah. There we go. Oh, look at that. We've got Jeff Senior's artwork in the next issue. So there we go. We've got more of this storyline with Scorponok and whoever. And then he realises that the airstrike patrol aren't actually his warriors. They're Megatron's, and he's been duped. And he's going to destroy the shuttle with them on. Something like that anyway. And then we've got Demons, where these monsters now finally do appear. And they're huge. And they first eat all the Decepticons. Blah, 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 blah. We've got Firecons appearing there. And there we are. Look at them. Something's happened to them, but if only I could find the culprits. Love it. And I tell you what, sometimes black and white artwork really works. And you always found that out if you ever read 2000 AD, is that sometimes it would be full colour, other times it would have black and white artwork, probably maybe money costs as well, but maybe because they've said to some artist or whatever, we want this one to be black and white, or some writer wants his artwork to be drawn in black and white. So they find stories that, or art that be suited to black and white. That, I think if it's coloured, wouldn't have the same effect, if you want my opinion. I think the black and white artwork just makes that look, I don't know, evil and gothic. I just love it, like you'd find in some old book from the 1800s, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty cool. And we've got the Mighty Marvel checklist. The Incredible Hulk presents, the Real Ghostbusters, the Bog Paper. What's this? Lurking below the cover are the likes of the Gents, Superlou, Winnie the Witch Doctor, King John, Flush Gordon, and Royston Roylett, who always buys a toilet. Just a few engaging characters to spend your next penny with. Jesus Christ. You can tell I was a teenager at the time. So I bypassed that one. And we've got more Combat Colin, Prisoner of the Place of No Return. Oh, I loved it. Great stuff. Lord of the Jungle now with Action Force. And the Incredible Hulk presents. And more next week. So there we go. Let's move on to issue number 247. I like that. And anyway, there we go. So we've got more of this one. All the familiar plot faces. That's sad storyline. But now we've got Starscream. And now I think Megatron's asked Ratchet to rebuild Starscream, but without all the character traits that he knew would made Starscream the treacherous backstabbing thing that he was. And he just wanted him as a weapon. I have no idea why. But Ratchet has made sure that his real personality is just dormant and will come through at any moment. So that's Ratchet's revenge. But not only that, he has already got another backup plan coming. But now Starscream is all ready. He has no need for Ratchet anymore. And he says, well, that's it. Time's up, Ratchet. And then we got another calendar there. December 1989. Pardon me. Oh, look at this lovely Jeff Senior artwork. I love this. This is just gorgeous artwork. And now we've got a fight between Grimlock, these monsters, and the Firecons. The Firecons try taking him down. I think this is where Cindersaur bites the dust. I could be wrong here. Oh, there we go. Look. Cindersaur just gets incinerated himself. I love that. I love that. That is great. But so, oh, I love Jeff Senior's artwork back then. Oh dear, pardon me. But it's great. I think they, how do they get them to go away? Oh, that's it. It uses raw energon in it. But it only kills them three, but they know, should they attack again in force, none of us will survive. And that was a storyline that he had coming up, which I think he fleshed out in Regeneration 1. He used part of it in issue 76 of the American series, but they made a return. And they were supposed to be a more prominent thing, but obviously where the series got cancelled, he couldn't do that storyline, which is why he redid it in Regeneration 1. So we've got still the Prisoners of the Place of No Return. We've got Action Force. Here we go. We are moving along now. I've only got a couple more issues. Let's have a look. 3 classic heroes as you've never seen them before. Love it. Oh, let's have a look at the transformation page. If there's anything interesting on here. There we are. We've got the Persuader competition winners. G.I. Joe, Action Force. Oh, look at that. We've now started to see the G.I. Joe, the Action Force. It's now being renamed or rebranded G.I. Joe. which is a bit strange because obviously G.I. Joe is more of an American thing, like GI and everything. But there we go. I suppose it was just one of those things. They didn't want to spend all the money out on rebranding it Action Force when they could just use G.I. Joe in America and over here, and it would save them loads of money. As usual, money wins out, doesn't it? So there we go. We continue the storyline now. Blackjack's about to destroy everyone. Blah, 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 blah. Starscream makes his appearance, ready to destroy both Optimus Prime and Scorponok. Megatron's all happy. The, what's his name? Dreadwind and Darkwing do a runner. But Ratchet has reactivated 3 Pretender shells with Grimlock, Jazz and Bumblebee as Pretenders to hopefully help protect him from Megatron. And then we've got Dread Tidings. Then we've got Fallen Star, which is more about Starscream being reactivated as a Pretender. We never see Starscream's Pretender shell again, because obviously Simon Furman realised that, oh, Jesus Christ. You see it here, never again. So there we go. So we've got this, and he realises that people are afraid of him rather than the joke he thinks he's become. I'm back. I love that. So that's pretty cool. We've got Mighty Marvel Checklist, The Punisher, Transformers 248, which is this issue. Oh, look at this. Actual size. That's pretty cool. Do like that. Right, so that was issue 248. We've got 2 more issues. We're going all the way up to 250. We've got Longtooth's Secret, which I believe also featured as the final ever story in Transformers UK. In that Saturday. So anyway, right, so we've got Longtooth's Secret. And then we've got the usual transformation page. We've got Grimlock attacking Megatron there. Some of the Autobots trying to deal with the Micromasters and everything. And Starscream attacking everybody. And then we've got some more A to Z. We haven't had A to Z for a while. Still doing this, still going strong. About 3 or 4 years after it started. So we have Longtooth, who is always a bit reckless. I have no idea about his actual bio proper, but in this storyline he's a bit reckless and there's a reason for it. He thinks he can do anything, live forever and all this, but there's a reason why. And a long time ago, back on Cybertron, he was a medic and everything, and he was trying to save lives, and Optimus Prime gave him the greatest gift. He gave him a tiny, tiny, tiny fragment of the Matrix, which meant he could save a life, but he didn't for some reason. And he kept it, knowing that if he died or was in really bad shape, he could use it to him. And then I think at the end of the storyline, they realised that all their energy weapons over time, what it's done is basically oh, maybe it ain't that one. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's part 2. I can't remember. That's a bit weird. Oh, that's a bit strange because I always thought it ended differently than that. Maybe they redone it. I don't know. Anyway, but he's sent it back to the Matrix. Don't ask me why. That's a bit of a strange one. Anyway, there we go. Maybe we'll find out what happens in the next issue. Maybe it's 2-part. I don't remember it being a 2-part. There we go. So I can get... Sorry about this. There we go. So we've got more Dread Tidings. We've got... Let's have a look. Dear High Test. You're one cool dude. There we go. Right, so there's the next issue for this one. And here we go with issue 250. Cover date 30th December 1989. With a nice wrap-around cover poster. Let's have a look at this. Here we go. We've got Dreadwind, Darkwing, Grimlock, Mega Supreme, Bumblebee playing with a little Bumblebee toy, Micromaster, him down there trying to use a magnet on these nuts and bolts to get them away from everybody. Something like that. Or maybe he's just making it look like he can juggle. I don't know. But there we go. So that's quite cool. It's a nice little cover. Not one of the best ones, but it's certainly an okay one. Here we go. Right, so here we are. We've got Starscream facing off against everybody. It really is prolonged when they slaughtered this comic up into about 5 pages of strip. But there we go. So I think all the Autobots and Decepticons get out apart from Ratchet and Megatron. And he knows he's trying to do something. Oh, I can't remember. Megatron is going to kill him. Leading into the end of that storyline, I think, in the next issue. But here we go. Oh, no, this is the greatest gift of all. This is the final storyline that was in the final issue, not that one of Longtooth. Why do I always think it was one with Longtooth? I think it's because it's basically the same bloody story. But there we go. Anyway, so he's got a bit of the Matrix and he can revive any Autobot he wants. But in the end, he realises that all their energy weapons have been affecting the ozone layer and everything like that. So he thinks, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give it to the Earth. And all the destruction they've caused over the years is repaired. Oh, I thought that was quite nice. So look, the new Micromasters are here. Love it. And then we've got Combat Colin, Christmas. And then we've got another A to Z with Rumble, who is red. And of course, Rewind. And there we go, Dread Tidings. And next issue, we've got, I think this is a story from the future, I think. And then we've got the end of Megatron and Ratchet storyline. But that is for part 27, coming up very soon. I'm going to try and do as many of these videos as I can. Anyway, right, so this has been part 26, I'm thinking. I would usually get it wrong, actually. I hope you liked it. Sorry it ran a little bit longer than I wanted it to, really. But there we go. Anyway, I shall end it here. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.